Wonderful day, wonderful day, wonderful day. This is your neighborhood sensei Fouché, telling all y'all to stay woke and relax, and take notes. So today I want to jump right into, topic more immediately. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a very serious thing in everyday life. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to finances. And our current president, mentioned how he could solve the inflation problem. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, how do you do that? Like, as long as there's been existence on Earth that we know, as far as human beings in society, there's always been inflation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, things start from a base level initially when it comes to the introduction of government finances, so on and so forth. And then, there's progression, not only in society and technology, but also in how finances, move and evolve. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about inflation, and a lot of us know the generic term of what inflation means because inflation just simply means prices going up, the cost of things going up. You know what I'm saying? Or to inflate in general means something going up, like a balloon inflating, a kite inflating. Like those things rise. Air inflating. Those things rise. And it's going to continue to rise unless there's some compromise in chemical structure within the air or the sky or the elements of the earth and the different aspect of again the sky. But there's going to be a regression because of certain conditions that bring a restriction within the object continuing to rise. So there's something, serious or catastrophic that causes a collapse. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, it's basically kind of starting over from ground zero and just rebuilding into a progression. So, the president again was talking about, being able to fix inflation. And my thing is, how do you do that? Because when you make very rash decisions economically, it could compromise the whole system. And then you'll have a collapse, bigger than the Great Depression. That'll be like small change compared to what happens if the whole economy just collapses. You know what I'm saying? That's just going to run into a rampage of anarchy. Believe it. You know what I'm saying? It's already happened in history. I'm not going to go into the specification at this exact moment because, we're going to cover bases. So forget all of that. And I decided to go into my trusty favorite, book on history, American history, the deeper aspect of American history in its simplicity, broken down in a itemization, but also just kind of covering a lot of different areas of reference and being able to collapse it into a more minimized version of specifics. So I'm going to go into my trusty chapter 5, and we are going to start to enlighten about inflation. So we're going to start here, and we're going to build. So if it seems to start off slow, just kind of, stay with me because it's important to pace ourselves, not try to go too fast. You know what I'm saying? So if you need to rewind this episode and kind of, take it in smaller doses, then I encourage you to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about rushing to get the information. It's about actually absorbing it. So no matter how much time you need to take or how many times you have to listen to this information or just pick up the information yourself. You know what I'm saying? Me, myself, There's a lot of different references into this, and they'll tell you in textbook economics that the same thing that this book, The Unseen Hand, is going to break down, in more of a condensed version, just to simplify things, because it's covering, a lot of different areas when it comes to, this 250 so on and whatever year history of this country. So enough babble, and let's go into information. Let me take a sip of water because that's always important. Inflation allows you to carry money in a basket and your goods in a wallet. Allows you to live in a more expensive neighborhood without moving. You ain't even got to move. You know what I'm saying? You can stay in the same neighborhood if you pay a little more. If you can't do that, then you got to move, and then, somebody else moves in. But you could avoid that just by, accepting what is and understanding government, society, and economics, and being able to have a stabilized economical system within a structured government. Man, that sounds almost impressively smart. Inflation is a drop in the value of money. Any given amount of money buys less. And what they basically mean by that is, the higher things cost, the value of the object that represents finances will kind of diminish, you know what I'm saying? Because it'll have less value if something of object or want or desire costs a little bit more. Let's use the American dollar as an example, you know what I'm saying? Because the American dollar is basically a promissory note, but the government has never paid back that promissory note. But the more things go up, the devaluation, or the less a dollar represents, you know what I'm saying? So to exchange what used to be fair value of the dollar at the time, is not the same. You ain't going to get the same worth of value back, because things are now progressed in society with cost and what value represents to those things. So, again, if you didn't really understand that quite specifically, just we're going to move forward, or just kind of go back a little bit and refresh the information. The traditional definition of inflation is as follows: a rise in the general level of prices. Its causes are three in number. There's three main things that cause inflation. When consumers, businesses, and governments spend too heavily on available goods and services, this high demand can force prices up. Why? Because, they have a lot of this thing. And let's go over this again. When consumers, businesses, and governments spend too heavily on available goods and services, this high demand can force prices up. So if there's a high demand of something and a lot of people are buying it, and it is extremely popular, then it's going to contain what they would deem a high level of value, because of how much it's being consumed at a faster rate. So if they feel like the public, really needs or values this, then they're going to increase the cost of it, being that they feel that you will pay the price because you value this thing a lot. There's a lot of consumption of it. So in business, they're like, hey, if you really like this a lot, then I'm sure you'll pay a little bit more in order to have this provision. If costs of production rise and producers try to maintain profit levels, prices must increase. That means if it costs more money to make the object or the desired thing, because you have to pay the workers, the cost of equipment, all the things incorporated in manufacturing the item or the object. So if the things that make it go up, or you have to pay people more to continue to produce it, you know what I'm saying, the prices are going to go up because it costs a little bit more to make it, so they got to charge more in order to be able to sell it and stay in business. The lack of competition between producers can also contribute to inflation. So if somebody has something that that a lot of other people don't have because it's more in a rarity, and you are one of a few people that are able to produce that item, then you're going to probably have a higher level of cost for it because, there's not a lot of availability for it, but people hold a high level of prestige or value in that object. So, they'll just put it at top bill just because. You know what I'm saying? It's like, in cars, some of those foreign or more high level cars, your BMWs or, your Corvettes or, your Lamborghinis, like they're built different and the structure of the car is different. And because those things have a higher level of what it takes in order to manufacture those things, as well as probably shipping and things of that nature. But there could be a variety of things involved in why there's a limited availability, but there's such a respect and a prestige for this particular thing. So a company's going to be like, oh, all right, so we're only one of few people that make this thing, or the only people that make this thing, and a lot of people still want it regardless of what we're going to charge for it. So we'll just charge top bill because they'll pay for it. One of the reasons no one can supposedly prevent inflation is because inflation is a part of the inflation-deflation cycle. Capitalistic economics naturally follow long-term cycles. First a few decades of prosperity, then a few decades of slump. It's an up and down thing, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's move on. Another economist believes that America's lifestyle is the major cause of inflation. And I'll tell you that as well. I'll give you DoorDash as an example because I DoorDash. And the most notable reference I can make, and I'm going to connect this two ways. I went to a merchant to make a pickup, and the merchant was a Mexican restaurant. And I was telling her about a specific order that I was picking up from there. I just came from that customer literally when I got that order. I didn't even pull out of this lady or this person. Yeah, it was a lady. I didn't even pull out of this lady's driveway yet. And another order popped up from a different restaurant right down the street going right to her. So I mentioned this to the merchant, and I'm like, man, people, this complacency, this conveniency of the whole DoorDash thing has created a high level of complacency. So when I mentioned to her, like, yeah, this lady just ordered this food, and then she ordered another food right before this, and I just dropped it off. So anyway, fast forward, she told me, well, I was going to order for our crew Burger King because, they don't want to eat their own food. After they're around it so much, they want to change the pace, and I respect that. I'm a kitchen man. I've been through that. So she decided to try to have Burger King delivered through DoorDash. When they priced out for the delivery in total, along with the food, all fees included, she said the price was like $120. And she didn't really want to pay that price. So she was like, if I could save some money, let me see if I could pick it up. So when she changed all of the arrangements within the app to go pick it up, she said that the price was half. For her to pick it up was $60 as opposed to $120 total for one of us drivers to deliver it to that location. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's 100% increase. And me DoorDashing, I know I deliver to a lot of regular customers, and I only work a certain part of the day. But I'm sure that they order, in what I say, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in betweens. At least 5 times a day, every single day, if not most days. And the fees and everything that go along with ordering the food has to be of a high level. You know what I'm saying? But instead of go and pick up the order yourself, you know what I'm saying? Or even more than that, buy the ingredients and make it, or even utilize any one of these tools where they have toaster ovens, you know what I'm saying, or microwave. The microwave has been, extremely old, the toaster oven, you know what I'm saying, and you could use those things to just heat up food just in a shorter period of time than cooking it from scratch, and then you could accomplish, the whole thing of eating and being comfortable. But you don't do that. You just put all your money into DoorDash every single day. You know what I'm saying? So that's an example of a lifestyle, where the conveniency created a high level of complacency. The desire of each group with power or instruments to improve its economic situation is, after all, what the problem of inflation is. Let me take a sip of water before we continue. The solution then is a smaller piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? Which means that companies, if to stop inflation, they'd have to take less. How did that work? Because they got to pay the workers, which means you make less money, or you make the same money all the time instead of, having an increase. Would you want to be paid the same, for the rest of your life, just one salary? That your value is the same. There's no growth into your value. It just stays flat. No matter what the cause of inflation, one thing for certain is that it is never caused by the government. Sarcasm. Congress has a typical solution to the problem: impose wage and price controls on rising wages and prices. And it seems that these measures never work. Again, they never work. They never work. It is possible that the reason Congress, so let me correct myself again, because I almost said impossible, but my correction. Is it possible, or my fault, yeah, I'm correct. Is it possible that the reason Congress can't control inflation is that Congress is not aware of its real cause? Is it possible that they are attacking the effect of inflation and not the cause? Right? Doesn't that sound familiar? Play that inauguration from almost a week ago. The attempt to end inflation by the imposition of wage and price controls is not a new idea. This President Trump, this ain't new. If it was so successful, why didn't it continue in so many different societies before you want to try to reintroduce something that didn't work before? The reason wage and price controls do not work and have never worked lies in the simple fact that they attack the effect of inflation and not the cause. Again, inflation is caused by an increase in money, which means you give out more money. The more money that is in circulation, then there's a lot available to a lot more for public. There's more people. So then you are going to increase your prices. You know what I'm saying? Because if there's more money out there and more people to spend, eventually you got to increase price. So let me go over this in reading before, we try to chop this up. Inflation is caused by an increase in money. Credit is a result of increases in supply of money, and for the sake of this discussion, money shall be the sole cause of inflation. You know what I'm saying? When you have a credit card, you have money, but there is an amount of what's the interest. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't pay that money back, then who's on the hook? You know what I'm saying? The credit companies. And this was already going on at the beginning of the credit card phase in the 50s. And look it up, because I watched enough documentaries on it, and I watched it over and over to stain it in my brain. And that was what they was talking about. Like, when we didn't charge interest and hold them to that promise, before that, like, they were just spending all the money and not even paying it back. But once we, made it into a law in a constitution where it was a written agreement legally, you're liable for not paying it back. Plus, you have to be charged money on top for fees in regards to not being accountable to your promise. In summary, then, inflation has both a cause and effect. Cause, an increase in money. Effect, a rise in prices. There are certain elements in society that wish to increase the money supply for their own benefit at the expense of the other members. These people are called counterfeiters and are punished for their crime when discovered. Again, there are certain elements in society that wish to increase the money supply for their own benefit at the expense of other members. These people are called counterfeiters and are punished for their crime when discovered. They are punished because their counterfeiting of extra supplies of money decreases the value of the legitimate money. Because if everybody's making money, then, anything could just say it could buy anything. And then, like I said, the government importance would not hold any value. You know what I'm saying? And there's no government. It's just anarchy. You know what I'm saying? Because then people will be like, this is what like I said, it doesn't work. So let's go over this again before I confuse you. And I don't want to confuse myself. There are certain elements in society that wish to increase the money supply for their own benefit at the expense of other members. These people are called counterfeiters, and are punished for their crime when discovered. They are punished because their counterfeiting of extra supplies of money decreases the value of the legitimate money held by the members of that society. Yeah, fake money, you know what I'm saying? Real money, it doesn't even matter. Then you'll be able to use monopoly money to buy things. The money in your pocket that your employers are paying you doesn't really mean anything. You don't even got to work. All you got to do is just, bump some money off of somebody, begging them, and then go and buy a Monopoly game board and then use that money and call it value. That's not the way things work, right? So that's the whole thing with counterfeiters and inflation and that connection. They have the illegal and immoral power to cause inflation by increasing the money supply. They increase the money supply, so if there's a lot of fake money out there and there's the government skeptical on what's real or whatever, then they're going to increase the money value, and then also have special guards um, instilled within the design of the money in order for their notoriety of power to be recognized through the finances, to sum that up. This activity, the counterfeiting, is actually a crime against property, the money of the society, and the citizens have the legal and moral right to seek an end to this destruction of their private property, their money. How is it possible for inflation to persist if those who have the ability to counterfeit are punished by the public for their crime? The solution for the counterfeiters lie in making it legal to counterfeit money. They want the money to be legal, you know what I'm saying? But that ain't the way it's going to work. Those who counterfeit can really reap the benefits for their crime if they can get control of the government and make their crime legal. You know what I'm saying? If you're able to infiltrate the government and change the structure of what money means, then you'll wind up accomplishing what you want, which is control of the revenue system. The government has the ability to make even counterfeit money legal tender. The government, if they wanted to, they could say, yeah, this is all good. You know what I'm saying? And there's other things that wouldn't be good. Because if everything was good, you know, then what would be what is? There'd probably be the highest price for things if everything was on the table to represent money, as far as, you know, in a paper form. Then you'll see a complete spike in the cost of things. Those who sought to make government all-powerful in their lives of their citizens soon learned that inflation could also increase the impact and scope of government as well. I swear I was just saying that. But let's move on. The people, sensitive to the rise in prices, no different than you and me to a certain degree, but not as much as other folks that are extremely in worry, start demanding that the government take some remedial. Let's go back because I don't want you to lose it. The people, sensitive to the rise in prices, start, and this is going in today's time. This book is covering from way back. And they're talking about something that was just spoken about a week ago. I bought this book initially going back almost 30 years ago. And this is what's here. And this is what they were talking about again. The people, sensitive to the rise in prices, start demanding that the government take some remedial action to put a stop to the inflation, and government informing the public that more government action is the solution to the inflation problem. That's what they're talking about. Trump's going to be able to solve the inflation. Passes the legalization, right? So he's trying to throw these executive orders to try to monopolize or manipulate the economic system. But let's keep going. The distance between the two pincer arms shortens until the result is total government, and all of this activity is in the name of stopping inflation. They're telling you, yeah, we want to stop inflation, but that's not the thing. They want to collapse the economical system so then they could take control of it. They're going to give orders saying that we could fix your problem. It was their fault that this economic system failed, because they're going to blame the Democrats and Biden or whoever was in Democratic office before. But realistically, on another conversation, the new Republicans are the old Democrats. And, you know, the new Republicans are the old Democrats. You know what I'm saying? And the old Republicans are the new Democrats. By a continuing process of inflation, governments can confiscate secretly and observed an important part of the wealth of the citizens. By this method, they not only confiscate, but they confiscate arbitrarily. Let's look up that word because, you know, we don't want to get confused with big words. Arbitrary. Let's go with arbitration. we'll go specifically with arbitrarily, on the basis of random choice or personal whim, rather than any reason or system. You know what I'm saying? So they're not going to give you a clear answer as far as what it means or how it happened. They're just going to throw you some random babble or some game, as we call it. They're going to run game over you, and you'll fall for it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're desperate. So again, there is no subtler, no surer means of overturning the existing basis of society than to debauch the currency. So they're saying there's no other way, there's no better way to take control of the government into a different system of government other than collapsing the economical system. Because when you crush the economical system, the people are in panic and desperation, and then you could throw them anything and they'll take it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're desperate. Inflation was also to serve as an income redistribution system. It could impoverish those who held their assets in money and enrich others who held their wealth in items that increased in value during periods of inflation. Let's keep going. So, hold up. Yeah, let's keep going. Inflation to be successful. No, let's go back. Inflation was also to serve as an income redistribution system. It could impoverish those who held their assets in money and enrich others who held their wealth in items that increased in value during periods of inflation. And if you don't know what that means, it basically means, if you waste your money on a pair of sneakers, or this gold, this plated gold, instead of, let's say, like land, structures, you know what I'm saying, actual metals and gems, you know what I'm saying, and that holds, a certain principle of value. But the main thing is, land. You know what I'm saying? If you have land, produce, cattle, stock, you know what I'm saying? You put your money into those things, then, they wind up increasing with value because those things always are going to hold high levels of value. So the money is always going to increase as far as, what consumers are going to pay in order to have that. That's a stabilized product. It's always in demand. So if you invest in that, then your money is going to continue to rise. If you put your money in something that depreciates, and then money depreciates anyway. So if you just hold on to your dollar bills or whatever to call it that, you know what I'm saying? The more you hold value into that dollar bill, it continues to devalue itself. So if it devalues itself and you hold so much money, so much value in that dollar bill, and the government continues to devalue it by the increase in what things cost and are worth in producing. So again, when you don't invest your money properly, you know what I'm saying, then you're going to wind up without more than with. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you go to the store and spend all your money, on beer and alcohol, and then when it comes, or, drugs or whatever, and then when it comes to needing something important, then you can't afford it. You know what I'm saying? But you then hold on to that certain value in order for it to stack, and then invest it in something that you really needed. You know what I'm saying? You just, was frivolous, and then on the back end, you ain't got nothing to show for anything or be able to spend at that. Inflation, to be successful, must be concealed from those who stand to lose the most, the money holders. You gotta leave the the situation of inflation away from the people that control the value. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't understand, go back, but we're going to move forward. Concealment becomes the goal of those who do the counterfeiting. Again, let's go back. Inflation, to be successful, must be concealed from those who stand to lose the most. So they can't really tell you what they're doing, you know what I'm saying? Because if they know what you're doing, then, they're not going to be, there's no power. You know what I'm saying? The system just continues to flow in the direction that it should, which is, more productive for the people to have more of what we would call a democracy, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to a republic. And I had a specific conversation on that. So go back into that conversation if you want to understand systems of government. Never must the true cause of inflation be properly identified. Inflation must be blamed on everything. The marketplace, the housewife, the greedy merchant, the wage earner, the unions, oil shortages, the balance of payments, the common housefly. He's just joking there. But again, listen to that inauguration speech and tell me that this isn't the same thing. Anything but inflation's true cause, the increase in the money supply. That is the real reason why things go up. Because you always want more. When you want more, the cost of things is going to go up. I always say, when nothing is never enough, what is? You know what I'm saying? Because there's a cost to your greed. And greed is always a downfall. It's one of those 7 sins. You know what I'm saying? So what good is it? It's part of the evil. But let's move on. If you despise capitalism, and again, this is a capitalist society. You know what I'm saying? You're able to increase your value and your worth for yourself as far as getting raises. So if you want to increase the value of yourself, then the goods and businesses have the same right to increase the value and worth of their goods. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't want to pay for it, then don't pay for it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to wind up paying for something else anyway. And the system is going to continue to move. That's just the way things go. But if you comfortable with making the same thing through your whole life and holding the same value, then there'll be a limited increase in inflation. And then you got to get rid of a bunch of people too, because the more people you have, then you have to make more money. So then you're going to have to wind up causing genocide, which is another reason to control population and inflation, is cause some form of genocide through disease, through some kind of catastrophic nuclear warfare, war, create a war between countries, limit population, global population, and then you limit at the same time the population within your own society. So then it should stabilize the economy because there's less people. So then you should be able to, keep it level because you don't have to make an increase of money since there's not those people available to possess the money. Inflation takes from the old, the unorganized, and the poor and gives it to those who are strongly in control of their own incomes. Income again is reallocated from the old to the people of middle years and from the poor to the rich. So, inflation has a purpose. It is not an accident. It is the tool of those who have 2 objectives. 1, to destroy the free enterprise system. And let's look that up so that way we're not just generic dumb. Free enterprise system. Free enterprise is an economy where the market determines prices, products, and services rather than the government. Again, free enterprise system refers to an economic system where market forces determine prices, supply, and demand of goods and services without government interference. This guy wants to interfere with the prices. That's not supposed to be in line with the free enterprise system. Private businesses operate in competition, largely free of state control, which means, you know what I'm saying, I have a competitor, and if I'm competing against someone else, you know, I want to be able to stay in line with my competition or raise above the profit of that competition, because then that keeps me in business. It empowers individuals and businesses to create, innovate, and thrive. So in a free enterprise system, you have the right to create businesses. Government just don't tell you, like, you know, they can't, you know, dictate. They have less dictation over whether you are able to own a business, you know what I'm saying? Because in this free enterprise system, if you have the finances in order to submit the paperwork, the cost of the paperwork, and all your submissions and your documents are in line, then you're able to have a business. Whether it succeeds or not is on you. And the other aspect of not having free enterprise, the government controls businesses and they say who's able to have businesses and not. You know what I'm saying? So again, inflation has a purpose. It is not an accident. It is the tool of those who have two objectives: to destroy the free enterprise system, and two, to take wealth from the poor and the middle class and redistribute it to the rich. And Donald Trump, before he was president, he was rich, and he's a very successful and very shrewd businessman. And now he's running your government and telling you that he can save you and fix inflation. But if we understand what I just broke down from a documented person, you know, that has credentials into being able to speak in verification of this information. You know what I'm saying? So this is stating specifically what this is. And if you don't believe me, and if you don't believe this, look it up yourself. We are in the age of information. You have a computer, you have a phone in front of you. Look it up and tell me that I'm wrong. And make sure you do enough reference cross-checking. Don't just look into one thing, look into many things. You know what I'm saying? I'm just showing you one reference of many different references that makes this my specific favorite. And that's why I'm breaking it down from this, is because all the other references are itemized in most best specification within this novel right here. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't saying to believe me. You know what I'm saying? Look it up yourself. All I'm going to do is show you the door. And you could walk through it, you know what I'm saying, or close it and continue to, you know, find your way through the maze of darkness. But either and or, you know, don't say that, you know, you didn't have the availability to know, or nobody ever told you, or you couldn't figure out, like, you know, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? In this age of information, like, you know, if you too busy scrolling through Facebook, or, you know, watching sports, or, you know, whatever your fancy is, and you spend less time on, you know, researching things that are important to your everyday existence, and then there's people governing society and the land in which you have your feet placed, and being able to have a physical existence of living. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people telling you things that you don't understand. And my thing is, understand what people are telling you. Because for me, I got tired of people telling me what they don't know. And it's about what you choose to know. So on that, I'm going to just say, this is your neighborhood sensei Fouché, telling all y'all to stay woke and relax. Please relax. And make sure you take notes. And be smooth. And rewind this and go and pace as you need to. You know what I'm saying? And go back into these other episodes, because all of these things interrelate into you having less worry, less stress, less of high anxiety, being able to have more peace and comfort in your movements and being, and actually have authenticity. And in that authenticity will bring the greatest comfort and ease of fulfillment and enlightenment. I promise you. You know what I'm saying? Because if everything ain't been working for you so far, why don't you do something different? Because until you do something different than another version of the same thing, then all you doing is just calling me crazy, but you the crazy one for living the way that you living all the time. You know what I'm saying? And complaining about it or don't know what to do about it. So call me what you want, but I know who I am and what I got going on, and you the one that don't know. You know what I'm saying? More probable. So on that note, let me wish y'all a wonderful day again. One.